In this video, we're going to do a deep dive on the Batarians, Mass Effect's most aggressive and despised alien race. We'll be taking a look at their history, government, and relations with the Council races. My research in this video took me through all 3 games, as well as the Codex entries and the Mass Effect wiki. Keep watching to see it all. What's up, everyone? Big Dan here, and I wanted to let you know that I recently launched channel memberships. This is for those of you who enjoy my videos and want to show some extra support. It's totally optional, but if you're interested, here are the benefits you get by becoming a channel member. For $5 a month, you get your name in the credits of my videos, access to custom designed emojis in chat and comments, member badge next to your name in comments and chat, priority reply to comments, and access to members-only posts in the community tab. To become a member, click on the join button below this video or follow the link in the description. Without further ado, let's dive right in. The Batarians are first introduced to us in Mass Effect 1, but we don't actually ever meet one of them during the base game. We hear conversations about Batarian pirate gangs, slavers, the Skyllian Blitz, and the attack on Mindoir, but we never get a Batarian perspective on these events. The first time we do meet the four-eyed aliens, they're committing a terrorist attack by trying to ram an asteroid into a human colony during the Bring Down the Sky DLC. So by the end of Mass Effect 1, our perception of the Batarians is that they're either slavers, pirates, or terrorists. Not exactly a good look. In order to understand why the Batarians became the bad boys of the galaxy, it's important to learn about their early days of Council relations. Much like humanity, the Batarians gained access to faster-than-light travel via discovery of a Prothean ruins. In their case, they discovered a badly damaged Prothean site on Bira, a moon of the planet Varouche. According to the planet description in Mass Effect 3, it is a point of pride amongst the Batarians that they were able to develop FTL technology while having access to only limited Prothean data when compared to the other Council races. This is because Bira was badly damaged by an earthquake, causing some of the Prothean archives to be lost prior to Batarian discovery. Once the Batarians could travel long distances through space, it wasn't long before they made first contact with the Council races. While we don't have exact dates for this, it was likely around the 1500s or 1600s, centuries before humanity would come onto the scene. Roughly 1 century after first contact, the Council granted Batarians diplomatic representation on the Citadel. They didn't have a seat on the Council, but their status was similar to that of the Volus and Elcor. They had an embassy on the Citadel and diplomatic relations with the rest of the galactic community. Nonetheless, the Batarians had no problem being openly aggressive and imperialistic, even to the point of attacking their supposed allies. This led to several diplomatic crises with the Council races. In 1785, Batarian ships bombed the Solarian colony world of Manovi. Side note, Kirrahe gives one of his units the codename Manovi during the Vermeer mission in Mass Effect 1. In 1913, the Batarians annexed an independent Asari colony of Eson. They even came into open conflict with Citadel forces on the planet Enal in 2115. So even before humanity's introduction to the wider galactic community, the Batarians were the bad boys of the galaxy. Tensions would only heighten after humanity joined the fray, with colonial expansion being a major point of contention.
We've been forced into exile, forced to survive on what we can scrounge up. It's been like that for decades.
Why take it out on these people? They didn't do anything to you or the Batarians.
Didn't do anything, aside from colonizing a world that could have been ours, aside from using resources that should have been ours.
As the Alliance began establishing its own colonies in places like the Skyllian Verge, the Batarians petitioned the Council to grant them exclusive colonial rights in the region. They saw the Verge as theirs, but they were the only ones who saw it that way. Hey, the Skyllian Verge, that's ours, bro. Can you recognize our colonial rights? Nah, bro. After the Council refused to give the entirety of the Verge to the Batarians, the Hegemony closed their Citadel embassy and severed all relations with the Council races. This essentially turned them into a rogue state who no longer answered to the Council or even pretended to play by their rules. It was around this time that the Batarians began attacking human colonies. The Batarian Hegemony funded many criminal organizations and gave them carte blanche to do what they gotta do in the region. In 2170, Batarian slavers raided the human colony of Mindoir, slaughtering unarmed civilians and taking the surviving prisoners into slavery. In 2176, the Batarians funded a coalition of pirate gangs who led a major attack on the human colony of Elysium. This event became known as the Skyllian Blitz. If you chose the war hero psychological profile during character creation, the Commander Shepard became famous for single-handedly leading a counterattack that drove off all the pirates.
The one who promised glory and riches for sacking the largest human colony in the cluster. The one blamed when it failed. Failed because of you. Your damnable holding action.
By this point in time, humanity had had enough of Batarian aggression against their colonies. The Alliance realized the only diplomacy Batarians understood comes from the barrel of a gun, so they decided to strike back by launching a major offensive on the moon of Torfan, which was a huge base of operations for Batarian pirates and slavers. The Alliance decimated the Batarians during the attack on Torfan. If you chose the ruthless psychological profile during character creation, then Commander Shepard became famous for sacrificing 50% of the unit in the assault and executing all the Batarian combatants, even after they had surrendered, thus earning the Butcher of Torfan nickname. After the massive defeat at Torfan, the Batarians largely retreated into their own space. This is why you don't see many Batarians kicking around on the Citadel or other major areas in Council space. That, and an authoritarian government that doesn't allow its citizens to travel freely, think of the Batarian hegemony as a kind of space North Korea. This is interesting to note because the Batarians we meet throughout Mass Effect 2 and 3 are largely the ones who fall outside the strictures of the hegemony society rather than your everyday law-abiding citizens. Batarians are not allowed to leave their home systems, so the ones who do are kind of rogue in that sense. Think of them like the surface dwarves in the Dragon Age games. It should be no surprise that rogue elements of Batarian society would turn to criminal activities like selling red sand, trafficking slaves, or joining up with merc gangs like the Blue Suns. That being said, the Batarian hegemony quietly supports these groups with funding and resources to conduct their dirty business outside the strictures of khar'shan, and the hegemony likely benefits from these activities as well. According to the planet description of the Batarian homeworld in Mass Effect 3, khar'shan is wrapped less in mystery than in outright lies. Batarian propaganda claims the world has 15 billion inhabitants and an economy that rivals the Asari. Although the legal slave trade does boost the Batarians' profits somewhat, Citadel sanctions have left a paper tiger of an empire, one that fights rivals through deniable terrorist actions rather than the wars of its heyday centuries ago. Throughout the Mass Effect games, we see the Batarians attempting to recapture those glory days through technological research. While other Council races often share knowledge amongst each other, the Batarians always conducted research in an attempt to gain an edge over other species. This often led to hoarding or hiding knowledge from the other Council races. For instance, it was the Batarians who discovered the Leviathan of Dis, an inert Reaper corpse found on the planet of Jartar in 2163. Soon after its discovery, the Leviathan disappeared, apparently whisked away by the Batarians for further research, though they denied this for many years. Unfortunately for the Batarians, their science team became indoctrinated, and when the Reapers landed on khar'shan at the beginning of the war, these indoctrinated Batarians sabotaged their planetary defense systems from within. When the Batarians colonized the Bahak system, they discovered the true power of the Alpha Relay, which was interconnected to over 16 systems including the Citadel. However, the Batarian hegemony chose to hide this information from the greater galactic community. It's interesting to note that when Shepard destroyed the Alpha Relay and killed over 300,000 Batarians in order to stave off an imminent Reaper invasion, nobody really seemed to mourn the loss, both in-universe and amongst the fan base. Just go read the comments on my video, Can You Save the Batarians in the Arrival DLC, and you'll see what I mean. Aside from a quick hearing from the Alliance, Shepard faced no major criminal or legal ramifications for something that could have been viewed as a war crime. The commander was put under house arrest for a time, but that was mainly because of Shepard's involvement with Cerberus, not the Alpha Relay incident. I often wonder if the commander had vaporized 300,000 Asari if the response would have been the same. When the Reapers arrived in force, it was the Batarians who faced the brunt of the first wave of attacks. At the beginning of Mass Effect 3, Admiral Hackett tells us that the Batarians are basically kaput, though there are rumors of a ground resistance on khar'shan. Aside from husks, the first enemy type we encounter on Earth are the cannibals, which are Reaper-fied Batarians. With the rapid destruction of the Batarian race, the surviving members turn to all they know how to do: terrorism and sabotage directed at humanity. We can discover a Batarian plot to sabotage medical and transport systems on the Citadel, and learn the culprit was none other than Bollock, ringleader of the Terra Nova incident during Bring Down the Sky. Shepard can either kill Bollock on the spot, or convince him to join the Victory Fleet and help retake Earth as a way to get revenge on the Reapers.
I'm uniting the Krogan and the Turians. We're the best hope for this galaxy. If you care about your people...
Our ships are yours.
Given how thorough the destruction was, I wonder if the Batarians will make an appearance in the next Mass Effect game. They were not present in Mass Effect Andromeda, which isn't surprising given how hostile they were to pretty much everybody. It's unlikely they would have joined or even been invited to a project like the Andromeda Initiative. The planet description of Khar'shan in Mass Effect 3 hints at the possibility of Batarian survival and rebirth. Almost no information has escaped Khar'shan since the Reapers destroyed the comm buoys, but Batarian refugees say that Resistance has created a bond among the commoners. If a new government can arise from the ashes, that bond may sustain a new Batarian society. Giving the players a Batarian squadmate in the next Mass Effect game could be an interesting way to show a different side of this villainized group. BioWare did something similar in Dragon Age Inquisition with the characters Iron Bull and Dorian. These companions showed a more nuanced look at the Kunari and the Tevinters, two groups who were largely villains in the previous Dragon Age games. Nonetheless, the Batarians' poor public relations is largely a result of their own actions. It turns out, waging war on your neighbors, selling people into slavery, hoarding technology, funding criminal groups, and supporting terrorist operations doesn't exactly win you a lot of friends. So there you have it, a closer look at the Batarian hegemony in the Mass Effect trilogy. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Big Dan Gaming for more Mass Effect and RPG videos. And if you want to become a channel member, click on the join button below or follow the link in the description. I want to give a shout out to all of the channel members who've joined so far. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.